All right, so this is the third session that we have. We got a few people that'll join us here in just a second, but what I wanted to do is jump in here, and this part is called the P5 session. And this is the third section. Of course, this is June the 18th. And I appreciate you watching this by video, and would love for you always to join. If you can, join us live, but if your schedule doesn't permit, then whatever, Memorex is the best thing. Okay, it's live or Memorex. So thank you for being here. If you're watching this, I'm going to jump over here and share my screen with you. We're going to talk about some of these concepts, and I'm actually going to jump up here. Let's go ahead and see if this will actually work for us. Okay, there we go. So I wanted to talk about some of these ideas that are in the training manual for P5, and I want to go with 6 of them, and they're cited by some of the most amazing thinkers and people that have changed the world. So we'll go through here and then we'll come back and talk about them. Okay, so the first one is by Aristotle. And I want you to look for what are the common concept that continues to be brought up again and again by these great thinkers. So Aristotle says, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. So I'm going to get a laser pointer so you can see a little bit better. Let's go to the second one. This was by William James, wrote Great Philosophy. The greatest revolution of our generation is the discovery, what is it? That human beings, by changing their inner attitudes of their minds, can do what? They can change the outer aspects of their lives. So here we have William James, that wrote The Man, the Myth, and the Legend, talking about this thing that inner attitudes affect our outer lives. We go back here to Aristotle, and he's talking about what we repeatedly do is about a habit. It's not just an act. You become what you wish to be, and that's whether you do it consciously or unconsciously. So if we want to be something that we can affect the outer aspects of our lives, then we can use this concept of creating a habit that focusing on how we have our inner attitude, how we maintain our inner attitude of our mind affects the outer aspects of our lives. Let's see what Eli Goldratt. Now, Professor Goldratt is an expert in project management. If you haven't read his book called The Goal, then add that to your list. Order it from Amazon. Probably one of the best books I've ever read. It is amazing. It's written in a fictional novel format, but it tells you how to use project management to better your life. So what does he say? If we continue to do what we have always done, which is what everyone else is doing, what will happen? We will continue to get the same unsatisfactory results. So what is Professor Goldratt trying to tell us here? If we continue to, well, go ahead, say again, Steiner.
Yeah, I think he's saying that if you want a new result, then you need to change.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to change your action. What do most people do? They keep doing the same thing, and they keep doing the same thing because everybody else is doing the same thing. And what kind of results are they getting? Unsatisfactory results. That's why their lives are unhappy. That's why they have so much stress in them, okay, that is handled wrongly, because they won't go over here and go, okay, well, wait a second, I have to change my inner attitude to change my outer life. And who's responsible for changing the inner attitude? It's me. So what I repeatedly do becomes a habit. So if I don't change the inner attitude of my mind to affect the outer aspect of my life, then that habit of not doing anything is this: unsatisfactory results. We'll continue to be unhappy because we're not doing what this. Let's see what Napoleon Hill said down here. We are where we are and what we are because of what? Our habits. Okay, well, that's the same thing Aristotle was talking about 2,000 years before Napoleon was here, as he was talking about this thing of habit. Habit is our responsibility. Where we are today in our life and what we are today in our life is because of what we do every day. Most people are doing these unsatisfactory results because they're not doing anything other than maintaining a poor inner attitude. So their outside aspect is poor. So this is something that we have to continue to work on. It doesn't mean that we're perfect. I know every day, I struggle with this. I struggle with maintaining my habit of having the right inner attitude. That inner attitude doesn't necessarily come easily. It's something that comes because we decide to. Let's see what James Allen said about it. You are today where your thoughts have brought you. You will be tomorrow where your thoughts take you. Hey, Linda, thank you for joining us. So look what James Allen is saying here, okay? If it's about our habits, and our habits need to focus on our inner attitude of our mind, and Goldratt over here is saying what most people are failing to do, they're doing what everyone else is doing, and that means they're not taking care of their inner attitude, so their lives are unsatisfactory. So Napoleon here down here says, where we are and who we are, what we have become, is whose result? It's a result of these things called habits, daily habits. So then you get to James Allen saying that we are today where our thoughts, remember the inner attitudes, these things up here, inner attitudes come from these thoughts. And guess what? We will be tomorrow where our thoughts take us. So the cool thing about this, seeing what Gandhi said right here, man is but the product of his thoughts, his inner attitude that William James was talking about here, these thoughts that brought us to where we're at. What he thinks, he becomes. This is the same thing here. You will be tomorrow where your thoughts take you. So 6 pieces of philosophy from 6 exceptional individuals in our life that have made major changes in our world, whether they were philosophers, whether they were authors, whether they were teachers. Every one of these individuals have made a huge impact in the world. And what are they saying in common? That what's going on up here inside of our mind, when we decide how we want these thoughts to be. We have to control them, because our default tendency is not to control them. Our default tendency is to let the chaos of the outside world and to have our perspective of that chaos to affect our inner world, our mood, and our thought processes. And the reason why we meet every Saturday and do our 90 minutes is because this is our attitude gym. This is our thought gym. This is our gymnasium that we come back to again and again, because it requires discipline. It requires being reminded. It requires us helping each other by telling us each other stories of how the right actions create right results. And when we default and get lazy and decide, screw it, those kinds of giving up affects our world. Not just the world that we live in, but our world that we create ripple effects in. Not just the one that is our little world about how we live, but our failure to recognize other people, our failure to smile, our failure to focus on things that are the definition that Sean Achor talks about, the Greek definition of joy, is moving towards one's potential. And when we lose sight of what is our potential that we could become, then we lose the discipline to think about in our mind how we can act in a better way, how we can function with a little more discipline, how that discipline doesn't need to be self-centered. It needs to be centered outside. How do we make the world a better place? We can do that by how we make that impact. You know, David, like you said, you gave a genuine compliment to one of your patients. That created a ripple effect in our world. And when we do that, the 10-5 rule that we talked about that Sean Achor found from the Four Seasons Hotel, how they train all of their employees. If they're within 10 feet of you, you have to make eye contact with them and you have to smile, genuinely smile, give them a nod, acknowledgement, you know, I see you. And if they come within 5 feet, then you have to make a verbal comment that is complimentary but authentic, okay? Hey, I love the cap that you're wearing today, or hey, those glasses look fantastic on you, or you know, something that's complimentary. I hope you have a great day today, you know, but doing it in a genuine way. So the 10-5 rule allows us to make a difference in our world And when they took that experiment that had been done in a major luxury hotel chain around the world, and they transplanted that into a major trauma hospital in Miami, then what happened with those hundreds and hundreds of employees, that they started reacting within their trauma network, their very stressful environment, and their production not only went up, but they, unbeknownst to them, they were just trying to make their fellow employees have a better day by smiling, by nodding, by making positive content compliments. They were genuine. What they didn't realize that that was going to accidentally affect their patients. Their patients loved being there at the hospital, even though it was traumatic, because of the way they were treated. And because of the way they were treated with acknowledgement and kindness and that joy, their referral rate skyrocketed. Now, the rest of the story is that I didn't tell you in the last two sessions. What do you think happened to their profit margins? When their referral rate skyrocketed and the reviews of the individuals that were at the hospital were given the hospital 5-star reviews, because even though I showed up there and I was trauma, I was in a car wreck, or I broke my arm, or I was in some kind of pain or life-threatening, everybody responded. They were happy. They were happy to see me. They were genuine. They were authentic. And even though it was difficult and I was in pain, I felt that someone cared about me. So they write up those reviews and they give that information online. And so what happened? It attracted more people that wanted to come to this happy hospital in your most critical level of care. And their profits of this hospital dramatically improved. So what can we all do? We're all in business. We all want to be more profitable. We would all like to have more money because we want to have these experiences that we want to share with families. So how can we do that? We can do that without having to have any more expense. We do it by changing our attitude and our mind and how we actually make a difference. Steiner, you had a comment?
Yeah, I think all this that you are talking about here, Steve, is kind of bound together with the law of attraction.
Mm-hmm. Sure. How do you see that, Steiner?
It's because if you want something, desire is to get a goal, whatever it is, when you then you start to attract that.
Mm-hmm.
In the that was the law of attraction says.
Sure.
If you just focus on the negative thing, then you won't get the results that you were talking about. But if you talk when you think positive and attract that, then you start to attract what you really want, and you get the results.
I think the law of attraction is whatever you're thinking about on a regular basis, you attract it into your life because your thoughts internally actually create your external world. And so whether you're reading William James or James Allen, As a Man Thinketh, it's a great book. Each one of these that I shared earlier in this session, each one of these always have this impact. Is where our thoughts are on the large part of our time is we actually are in charge of manufacturing our reality. So we get a choice. Do we want our reality to be a nightmare, or would we like it to be a place that's not perfectly blissful? It's just not the way our reality goes, but something significantly less than a nightmare. What if we were able to make our world a place that we had an ongoing focus of moving towards our potential? That's where you get the joy from. That's where the Greeks define this. Joy is moving towards our potential. Okay, so what does potential mean? Steiner, what do you think potential means?
That is what you desire to achieve in the end, where your goal is. That's your potential. Okay. And you have to move against that and always focus and then you will get in the end.
Becoming the potential that you see inside with that goal. Okay, David, what do you see the definition of potential as?
Well, I guess you can always see what you can become, but I think that expands as you get better.
Okay.
I was just gonna, a quick segue, if you don't mind. I was gonna give Sabrina kudos because the story that she told today, I think it was the mirror neurons working, but I had a business opportunity that went south and lost a few $1,000s. So I had the verbal axe out, as you call it, Texan style.
Right.
And so her story made me, I was texting, you probably could see I was doing this, but what I was doing is taking that opportunity to expand my potential. And I think anger, and that's what part of my book was about, the forgiveness.
Sure.
And that hampers, it took 47 years to figure out that my potential wasn't realized because of, I was hanging on. I think Viktor Frankl in his book says, in the prison of your mind, if you hang on to these things, that's what holds you back. I used a quote in my chapter.
Mm-hmm.
But I decided right then and there, based on her story or mirroring her action. Now, I didn't do it necessarily because I thought this other person would be, oh, you're going to have a great life and you have so much potential. I didn't know this person well, but it's more mainly releasing that person, releasing me
Mm-hmm.
from the anger I was holding back from the deal gone south and losing thousands of dollars. Like, you know what? That's what my book chapter is about. I didn't want to continue to be angry after the last month.
Right.
I was tired of letting that hamper my progress or my potential.
Sure.
It's like, you know what? She let something go. She had a great example that rippled affect me. I'm going to do it right now because I feel right in the moment. It's the right thing to do. So real quick, 30 seconds, I banged it out, wrote a text, and I said, hey, you're not going to hear from me anymore. I forgive you. I don't know why you do this to people. I hope you don't do this again. But basically, it's I release you, I release me. I felt a little weight lifted, and I don't have to think about that problem anymore.
Sure.
I'll learn from it, but
Yeah.
it was a good, and it was at a time when I needed the money to move to Alaska, and I've been stressed out, and it's one of those things, it's a good lesson on many levels, but it was a nice thing to have the opportunity to learn from Sabrina, to be like, you know what, let that go and grow from it, and you'll have more resilience the next time you come up to, because I'm getting to the point now where someone would, if they did it to my truck, I would get, let's say, Texan angry.
Right. Sure.
But now I've got the Alaska chill where I'm like, you know what, something's going on. You know what, you can fix it. You can make more money. It's not a big deal. It's not worth ruining your life for a number of weeks due to this.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of nice to have that example from her today. So if you hear from her, let her know she made an effect. So
Absolutely.
Right.
Well, outstanding. We've all kind of, I think, at least I love the concept that Plato said. And I remember thinking about this first time I heard this concept, that Plato said, learning is remembering what you already know. And I remember the first time that I read that and I went, but I don't know a lot. What was he talking about? How could I already know this stuff? I'm still learning. I feel like I'm a student. I've been a student my entire life.
Can you repeat it? What you said?
Plato said, learning is remembering what you already know.
Okay.
And so when I heard that, I thought, well, wait a second, I don't know everything. So when I'm learning, and I'm constantly learning, because I always feel that I need to be a student, there's always so much out there that we can learn. So I'm always learning, whether I'm reading or on YouTube, trying to learn as fast as I can, because I want to be better, because I feel that I have a responsibility to make the world better. And that means if I can be better and I can touch other people's lives in a better way, then, I accomplish that goal or dream that I have of being that person that did make a difference, that my life mattered. And I want to set that example for my kids so that when I'm passed and they're, carving my gravestone, what are they going to say about me? Are they going to say dad was just average and he was like everybody else and he didn't matter and was kind of embarrassed about him? Or are they going to say, well, you know, my dad was a great man. He was a great man because he cared enough every day to try to make himself a little bit better, to take responsibility for his shortcomings, but to use those, like you're talking about, David, to use the things that we made mistakes on. We don't want to be, Cicero made a statement one time that says we are the way we are because we forget to learn from our mistakes, something to that matter, okay? Because people don't pay attention to their failings, they continue to fail repeatedly, and then they ultimately become a failure in life because why? They decide to be average, live in the valley with all the other mediocre people that have given up, and they make excuses. Signer.
Yeah, I think I just want to say something about. I saw a interview with Clint Eastwood, and I just want to apply this to this group because last time he was talking about grit, and
Grit,
and before that heroes.
yes,
and yeah, Clint Eastwood has always also been a hero to me. And but the thing is that about grit and so on, he was at the age of 88, and he was doing a new film. He was directing and also playing it. And the interviewer said to him, "How do you manage to do that in your age?"
Right.
And he said, "Well, I stand up each morning and do what I do. And all day long, I keep the old man out."
Right. I love that.
I think that was great. And it says a lot about him. And also if we consider this, we can learn from it and apply it to our lives, I think.
Yeah. It's an attitude. It is a choice. And what you're hearing from Clint Eastwood is that he made a conscious choice to respond to keep the old man out. And what he was meaning is, you know, what he said, you get to 88 years old, a lot of people are going to be telling you, oh man, it's okay to not work as hard or give up or quit. Why don't you just go sit on your porch and get out your pocket knife and start whittling, you know, like all grandpas or great grandpas do, you know, just, you know, whittle until you finally expire. Right. And he's like, no, I still want to make another movie. I still want to read a new script. I want to still have these experiences. And so now that was, you said that was when he was 88. He's now 90 something, I think.
92.
Yeah. 92. Okay. Yeah. So he's 92 now. I think he just came out with another movie. So, I mean, obviously he produces and directs a lot of his own movies, but he's had this exceptional life, you know, going all the way back to, the spaghetti Westerns of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and Fistful of Dollars and A Few Dollars More, and all those kind of great things that people don't know. At that point in his life, he had gone to Italy to make the spaghetti Westerns because he had actually been Rowdy Yates in the series called Rawhide. But his career never went anywhere after that TV series that came on for a while. And so he took this Hail Mary shot and went to get basically no money to go star in these spaghetti Westerns. They called them, which were low budget deals, and him walk around and you could hear the ka-ching, 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 because he's stepping out there with the spurs, right? And, you know, just the whole attitude came through. And of course, his career rocketed. It started the Dirty Harry series, I guess he was in San Francisco, chasing down people with those big hand cannons and having those one-liners, you know.
I know what you're thinking.
Yeah, exactly. Make my day.
That's only 5.
Yeah. Make my day, punk, and all those kind of things. And then he became this huge success. And so the whole concept is that you never know. You just stay persistent and you focus on your inner attitude. That affects your outer world. So just wanted to say thank you each for being here. Linda, I'm glad that you're online with us. I know you're not feeling good today, but thank you for being here and demonstrating your discipline. I hope everything goes well. I know you're saying let's see. So you did have a positive COVID test. Okay, so I hope you get better there, and I hope you feel better. So hopefully the symptoms are mild and you can get past this very soon. So thank you for showing up here anyway, and I do hope you get better. Keep us posted how you're feeling, and if there's anything we can do for you, be sure to let us know. Okay.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you guys for being here today from Alaska and from Norway. And Linda, you're in New England. And see, earlier we had Sabrina. She was down in I can't remember if she lives Carolina.
South Carolina.
Yeah, she lives in the Carolinas, right? So thank you all for being here, and make the world a better place. I'll see you next week.